Hello everybody, and in the last video of our avalanche series, we worked on making just our point system better. We did 3 things to improve our point system, which were making balls start spawning faster once you got more points, making it so that you lose points whenever you die, and also making balls more random and making them bigger or smaller randomly. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a bit more improvements. Some things that we're going to do is, we're going to improve blocks and to make blocks, like the blocks that appear when we hit the screen button, better. Then we're also going to make it easier to get points. And the final thing that we're going to do is we are going to make it so that we're just going to do a bit of improvements on this map. So let's start with the improvements on this map. So what I'm going to do is this part, we're just going to start doing a bit of duplication. We're just going to duplicate some of these blocks that we have. So I'm going to duplicate these. I'm going to duplicate that, Control D. I'm going to put a speed one in front of here, like there. And then it really doesn't matter for this what you do. I'm going to Control Z because I did not mean to do that. And duplicate that. So it really does not matter to me or the game what you do. So I think I'm going to do that. In the next video, we'll probably improve on these green buttons and add a few more to the map, which should be pretty simple. But for this video, that's all the improvements that we're going to make just to the map. Next, we're going to improve the blocks that actually appear. So we're going to click on this. We're going to click on the block that we have. We're going to insert, actually we don't want to insert a script to it. Instead, we're going to go into our server storage, snowball, and script. Make sure you know exactly what your thing is named. So we're going to do another one of these things that we have here that finds out if the snowball touched a certain block. Wait. There we go. And then put here block 1. Which this is literally everything that we need to do. This is all we need to do in order to improve these blocks. Because pretty much what this does is, if you don't know, I've covered ifs before, but pretty much if this is true, then this will happen. And in this case, it pretty much checks to see if what the snowball collides to is this block 1, if it is block 1. And then, in that case, script.parent, clone destroy. Wait. Hold on, I just realized something. We actually need to do a bit more than this. We need to check if the block exists, or like if it's visible or not. That way, whenever a snowball, because something that you should know when using anything transparent is that this touched event can fire when the snowball hits something that has can collide off and transparency on the max. That's how this force field that we had works. That's how our force field here works. Even though you cannot see it, you can't even tell it's there if you're a player, it still works because it can sense if the snowball's touching it. So we're going to have to do some improvements to this, which is actually going to be pretty simple. So if part.transparency, actually let's do can collide equals true, then end. So pretty much what this does is it just checks if the part snowball's colliding into exist. And if it exists, then it will destroy itself. Pretty much meaning, is the block in existence? And if so, then it'll destroy itself when it touches it. So you'll see, if we join our game, we can see snowballs are rolling down. And then I'll probably need to get a point just to make this go a bit faster. But once I do, okay. Now you can see we're getting snowballs to appear a bit faster. So if we hit this button, balls that hit this destroy, which means that they won't just be directed out here to the other areas for us to die from, but they'll actually disappear, which makes the game a bit easier. But then again, we also have the point system, which makes the game harder. So it's pretty important that we have a balance. Another thing that I realized is that this isn't symmetrical. So we're going to have to move this button to make everything symmetrical. Alright. So, now we have improved our blocks so that when a snowball collides with the block, it disappears. Now that we've done that, we're going to make points a bit easier to obtain. So you're going to have to find this button, this thing right here, this script. It should be the very first script we ever made in this series, and it's a script where we create our point system. So here, we're going to actually change this up. So we're going to delete that one, and instead, well, we're actually going to keep that, but make sure that's in parentheses. So in these parentheses, we're going to do plus, and then more parentheses, player dot leader stats dot point set value, which is this. You can just Control C, Control V. Oops, that I did not Control V that correctly. Sorry. Control C, Control V. Alright. Now we have this, and then times, and then you can do whatever multiplier you want whenever a player hits the button. Pretty much, if I were to go with times 0.3, that means that it will do 3/10 of the player's points, and then plus 1. That's how much it will improve the points every time they hit it. But instead, I'm going to do we'll do 1/3, so 3/3. And then one key thing to do is math.round. Or actually, I forgot, math.round isn't a thing in Lua, so you have to do math.floor. Which is fine because math.floor is not the same thing as round. But what floor is it pretty much rounds down and then ceiling rounds up. If you really want to round the amount that they have, but it's 1/3 of the player's points, then the way you would want to do that is add 0.5 to this, so like plus 0.5, and then floor it, which will round it. But pretty much we're just going to do floor, so this means that when a player hits the button at the end, wait, I need another parentheses, wait. So when the player hits the button, it will give them 1 point plus 0.33 times plus the units digit of 0.33 times their points. So if you have 3 points, then it'll give you 1, and then 1/3 of 3, so it'll give you 2, which makes you have 5. So that's how the system's going to work. You can change it to say 0.5 if you want players to get points fast, or 0.25 if you want players to get them slower, or you can just not even do this if you want the game to be harder. But now, if we let the game load, we can see there's something happening where there's 2 snowballs rolling down at once that I think we can also fix in this video. But you can see we hit it, we only get 1 because 1/3 of 0 is still 0. Okay, so I'm gonna just go and give myself, say, I don't know, 5 points. You can see I have 5 points now. So snowballs are rolling much faster. if I do manage to get to the end though. Okay, we hit it. We have 7 points now. So it is working how we want it to. And every time we hit it, it will give us more and more points, which makes things a bit easier, because also when you get further, it gets really hard to get points. So it wouldn't be worth it to get to the button when it would take you like around 3 times, or you would die around 3 times, and you would only get 1 point. So, wait. I just got reset. You can see how I was at 7, now I'm at 1. So let's see if we can fix that. I do not really understand right now why that happened. So we're going to try and fix it. So we're going to look for, where is it? Dang it, okay. Yeah, here. If points.value is greater than 0, then points.value equals points.value minus 1. Let's see if the issue happens again. So we're going to show you a bit of trying to get this bug not to happen again. So we can go into this, give ourselves, say, 6 points. If we get hit by the snowball, we get knocked down to 0. So what is that? I have just realized what it is. So what we're going to do is, we're going to do another if. Because I just realized what is causing this is that the player is touching the snowball several times, meaning that they aren't supposed to touch the snowball that many times. The way we wrote the script is assuming that the player would only touch the snowball once. However, if you do remember, when we were creating our block pad things, the snowballs, or when a player would hit the button's event would fire multiple times, which meant that it would not be what we wanted, which is the exact same thing that's happening here. So, in order to fix this, we can simply do, right here, you can get enter, and then if if part.parent.humanoid.health equals 0, then return end. Pretty much checking if this line has already been fired. And if that line has already been fired, that means we know that we've already fired this function. So, and then pretty much return just stops the function from happening. So now, if we were to go in and play, hopefully, if I were to give myself, in the Explorer tab, by the way, that's how I'm doing this, 6 points, go back into my actual gameplay. If I get hit, you can see we only lose 1 point. I did not mean to do this today, but that's because I did not know that this error existed yet. So now we've just finished this from happening. Oh, and that's another thing that I want to fix next video. I don't want people to die and then activate buttons when they're dead. And also, you know what, one last thing. I know this video is kind of getting a bit long, but in here, we're literally just going to Control-C this, or Control-X to cut it. And then, like, I'm going to hit the Control-V button right here. So I pretty much just made it so that it turns gray the second that you touch A. I pretty much just made it so that A pad will turn gray, the green pad turns gray the second that you touch the block, or that you touch it. So you can see it turns gray, which I just think makes the game a little better. So yeah, thank you for watching. We did more than I expected we would do today. So, yeah, but hopefully you enjoyed. We don't have many videos left until this series is finished, and soon you will have a complete Avalanche game that would look pretty good. Next video, of course, like I said, we're adding more green buttons. And we're also going to, well, improve a bit of other stuff. So, bye. Thank you for watching again.